Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Everything I Learned as a Professional Gold Dealer, Coin Dealer, Gold Coin Dealer. It's all synonymous. I was meant to put this video out last week. Unfortunately, I wasn't well. I had the flu, maybe COVID. I don't know, one or two, but I wasn't well, so it didn't get put out. Now, episode 4 is a continuation in a roundabout way of episode 3, where I talked about diversity and knowledge. In today's video, I want to talk about trends. I think trends are very important regardless of whatever you do in life. You're gonna, or you should pick up on them. Things will change. To give you a couple of examples outside of the coin world before I get into kind of my anecdotal personal experiences of how they've worked and how you can monetize that. I was talking to my mother the other day. We sat down and we watched it was an episode of Top of the Pops where they hashed together different eras. And it had 1997 and it had, I think it was the 80s, I think it was 85. And they just picked different music from that year. And I said to my mother, I was like, you know what? These trends have come full circle in a roundabout way. When I was growing up, I felt like the music I grew up with was a lot different to prior music. And there was samples. Sampling's always going to happen because people are going to be inspired by people that came before them. That's fair enough. That's human nature. But I said to my mum, I was like, the 50s was very distinctive. 60s again, it was distinctive. 70s, 80s, electro pop, very out there. 90s was boy bands, and the noughties was they were starting to experiment with better studio techniques. But the current stuff is just, it feels like they're clawing back from, they're sampling from my youth and also in some cases my mother's youth. Now you see it on, or I see it on YouTube Shorts and sometimes Facebook Shorts. There's a couple of things, and they compare it. Sometimes they've been sampled 2 times. It's come out now, but it was sampled back in 2000s and the noughties, and it was originally from the 50s, the 60s. So the trends are repeating, and it's the same with other areas of life. You know, when I was a child, when I say small child, I was never a small child. I stopped growing at 15. I'm 6'1" on a good day. It's I was bought a t-shirt when I must be about 10 or 11, and I wore it to a coffee shop. I still own it. I still wear it. One of the things about older things is they were built to last, but I'm not going to rag on how society's changed and all that. That is what it is. But I still own this t-shirt. It still fits me. It was bought big back then, but it still fits me. But I wore it to a coffee shop, and someone said to me, "So I really like t-shirts. It's proper retro." And I thought, "Oh no." I was like, "It is retro. It's because it's 20 plus years old." But that's how it is. Things change. Like that t-shirt has come from being in fashion to when it was bought for me to slightly out of fashion to now it's kind of seen as cool again, which I find a bit cringy, but that is what it is. I'm not wearing it to be fashionable. I'm a very functional person. But to go back to the coin side of things, which is probably why most of you are watching this video, it's the same thing. Trends change, they come and go. Now, I got lambasted by one of my viewers. I said something, I said, let's see how savvy I am. And he was like, well, you can't be that savvy because everyone was talking about it. And I was like, well, I've got videos going back, what, 7 years? I've been a professional trader best part of a decade these days. I've been saying it for a long time. And I was saying to people, the trend will be smaller gold. It will be smaller gold. It will be the fractionals. It'll be the half sovereigns, quarter sovereigns, and potentially an eighth sovereign if the Royal Mint wants to go down that route. I think they personally will. So what does that tell you? Well, that tells you that if that is the case, people are being priced out the large stuff. So the larger stuff is becoming more of a spot play, and the smaller stuff is going to have different values depending on the snapshot in time. The spread is going to be different. The spread might actually increase. Now we know, like anyone who follows my videos knows that prices ebb and flow, spreads ebb and flow. It's not a one size fits all. It changes all the time. It changes on a daily. And one of the reasons why it's a very skilled job and a very difficult job is because you've got to understand that it's not as easy as you think. But if the trend is going towards smaller gold, then stock up on smaller gold. If you if you've been watching my videos for a long time, I've always said that I prefer certain mints. The Royal Mint is a strong mint. The US Mint is a strong mint. Scottsdale is a strong independent mint. It's got a great brand. Um, Germania is starting to really develop as a strong brand, good quality products. Perth Mint. Now, in the past, I would have said buy these stronger mints, but what's happened is the trend has changed. Now, these coins they will come back in fashion. How long's a piece of string? When will it happen? I don't know, but there's certainly opportunities for the contrarian to say, hang on, the trend will flip and they will become sought after again because people chase these items. It tends to be a group thing. It's a group think where everyone's chasing the same items. Oh, that's cool. I want that. Seen it a lot. I've seen it with a lot of different items. I've seen it with 1 gram bars. Some of those bars are nuts. I've seen some 1 gram bars go for £200. Crazy. Will they get their money back? I don't think they will. Depends how long the trend lasts. But from a risk reward perspective, I'm not gambling on that. Not a chance. Does it mean I'm in the wrong? I'll happily be in the wrong. But concerning the trends of the stronger mints, what's happened is they've realized that they've got really strong brand presence. So they're putting out more product, but they're gouging at the same time. They're putting the prices up, saying, well, actually, people like our products. The perfect example is the Royal Mint. Also, I could talk about it better because I am from the UK. They've recently been churning out proof sovereigns in multiple formats, privy marks, strike of the days, you name it, they've been putting out P defaults. A lot of these are new ideas. So the market's absolutely saturated. But where it's been proper popular in the past, they thought, why can't we make more money? And that's how they're doing it. And what's happened is most people have kind of cottoned on now and thought, ain't worth it because the flippers can't make money. And there's a room for flippers. I was recently watching a Pokemon card channel, and the Pokemon community is a strange one. There's so much hatred and vitriol in that community. You can't buy things to flip, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, well, yes, you can. It's your money and your choice. It's all part of the market mechanism. But no one can really buy proof sovereigns to flip them because there's no money in them. The mintage is too high. The supply and demand the supply is too high. It doesn't matter to the mint if they say 15,000 mintage and they sell 10,000 because they can just remelt it. It costs them a small amount, but if they're charging double, maybe sometimes more what the intrinsic value is, they're coming up ahead anyway. It doesn't matter. But the trend will force them into changing their practice. Now, I've said for a while, and in a rare peace truce with another very prominent YouTuber, I said, you know what, I support you on this because they need a bloody nose. And they do. Their products are not good. Their prices are not good. Their after sales is not good. So the trend will change. They've gone from being the in thing to something that they won't be for much longer because people won't want to park their money with them. They won't want to spend it knowing that they're potentially going to take a haircut if they have to sell it. And that's perfectly understandable. That's perfectly understandable. Now, I actually reckon if they went back to old ways and they just said, okay, proof sovereign, spot plus £100, they'd sell out their allocation. They'd do it with ease. But their price points are crazy. They're absolutely crazy. To go back to the Royal Mint and a slightly different trend, if you go back to the 90s, those coins, the proof sovereigns, because they're only made in proofs, they're really sought after. And they are. People will pay a very good premium for them boxed, even slightly damaged. You'll pay a premium for them. I will pay you a premium for them because back when they were being made, people didn't want them. The trend wasn't let's buy proof sovereigns on the Royal Mint. And that's meant that they've become a fantastic investment case. So the trend is your friend until it isn't. But sometimes you just have to be a bit of a contrarian to see what might be. Now, to go back to the last episode where I was talking about diversification knowledge, if you are buying, you've got to be forward thinking. You've got to predict the trends in some way. And you might be saying, yeah, but you might be in for a bit of a hammering because what if you get it wrong? That's where diversification of knowledge comes into it because I've had it before. I've taken an absolute kicking on some silver coins. But the flip side of that is if I bought 10 silver semi numismatic coins and two of them made 100%, I might lose 20% on a couple of them. Who's really ahead? Well, I just sit on the bad stock until the price goes up. Just take it on the chin. It's fine because it's done what I needed it to do. And the trends are always going to change. Like, for example, it's not proof sovereigns at the moment. I think it's going to be half sovereigns myself. I think that's where the market's going to be. I think the half sovereign will eventually get to the price where the current sovereign is. I think a full sovereign has got headroom to go to £1,000 sovereign. I'm not going to be in the market. I won't be trading coins by then. So you can't even say to me, "Oh, you're shilling." I'm not. I'm not going to be in the market by then. I will exit the market before then. But I think if you're buying those half sovereigns now, or even those quarter sovereigns, everything is kind of getting smaller. We know this from most things. I've spoken about it so many times. Properties getting smaller, like in terms of your living space, your food sizes are getting smaller, shrinkflation, inflation, you name it. Everything's going down to the lowest common denominator. I think it's going to be the case with gold, and I think there's going to be a point where all of the bigger stuff, the market's going to become more and more limited, and it's going to be a rich man's game. There's going to be fewer and fewer people chasing these coins, and these people are going to be wealthier and wealthier due to how trickle down economics works. It is what it is. But in terms of the trend, you've got to be able to forward think. You've got to understand that it changes, and you've got to see an opportunity when it arises. And if you can do all three of those things, you'll do okay. You really will do okay. If you can't do those things, you need to learn how to do those things because it's going to put you ahead of most other people. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.